Okay, the first thing we're going to do as we're making sausage is we're going to put our grinder in the freezer. Can you do that for me, buddy? The reason we do that is we want everything to be as cold as possible. The more cold it stays, the better it is for the meat. It's good for food safety because as we're grinding, we're adding a lot of surface area. Now I'm going to open my pork butt, and you can use bone in, bone out, doesn't matter. The reason you use pork butt is the fat content. It has about the right fat ratio. And what I always like to do is when they run these through, if you put it through the saw too fast, you get bone chips. So I'm looking for any bone chips and I'm scraping off any dust. Right there is a bone chip. I don't want that to get to my sausage. So I'll give this a scrape, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate out as much fat as I can and put it on a tray, and the meat and put on a tray. I'll put it in the freezer so it'll be really cold to partially frozen, and then we'll be ready for grinding. And what I'm also feeling for in here is, well, I can feel it right here. Sometimes the fat on this is really hard. It has a little bit of cartilage or something in there. It does not render out as you're making your sausage, so I want to cut off any of that too. So the hard fat like that, it feels very stiff. That'll get thrown away. The softer fat, I'll cut off and I will add to our fat pile, because depending on the sausage you make depends on the quantity of fat you want. And we can control it by having the fat and meat separated. Okay, got the butts all cut up, and I like to cut my meat into strips. My grinder, when you put it in, it'll grab it and pull it in. If you have a bunch of little chunks, it can kind of spin around, but if you have a strip, the grinder, little screw in there, will grab it and pull it right in. So let's get this into the freezer, and when it's very cold, almost frozen, then it'll be time to grind. Ready, buddy? Okay, see you in just a bit. Okay, so we're ready to grind our meat. We pulled this out of the freezer. It's nice and cold. Our meat is nice and cold, a little stiff, almost frozen. Okay, buddy, so when we do this is the only thing that can go down the hole. We don't put our hands or anything else.
Okay.
And I'll put the meat up here, and if you want to drop it down, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, buddy.
You're welcome.
For this sausage, we're going to do a fine grind. We always start off with a coarse grind, 3/8 plate, about 10 millimeters. And now I've dropped to a 3/16 plate. That is about 4.5 millimeters. So we'll grind that, and then we'll be ready to mix in our spices. Okay, I'll put it up here for you, buddy, and then just drop it through there.
Make a little ball.
And there we have it. Now let's mix up our spices. Well, I'll weigh it to see how much we need to put in, and it'll be ready. Okay, now we're going to mix up our breakfast sausage. So we have our ground meat from earlier. I like to do it in a mixer. Here you go, buddy. You can dump that in. The reason for that is you can do it by hand, and you'll mix for a while. The mixer makes it faster, especially if you use one of these, kind of your cookie dough paddle. So I've measured out all of my spices and the water. And we'll put this in here. And we're just going to let it go until the meat gets sticky tacky. Put that on there so you have free hand. And check and see if it's done, buddy. Okay, now the way we check it, if you ever been to Dairy Queen and like they put the blizzard outside like that, it's kind of the same thing with this. You want it to be sticky, just like that, or you can turn it over and it won't fall off your hand. And when that's done, it's all mixed together. If you don't get to that point and you go ahead with your sausage anyways, it can be kind of crumbly and have a bad texture. But if you get that smooth texture, to get that, you need to get it to the point that it's sticky like that. So, drop the Ziploc bag. What we're going to do is we're going to put it in the fridge for about 24 hours. And in that time, the flavors are going to meld and all come together. So thank you, buddy, for holding that.
You're welcome. It's gonna be heavy.
And it'll be heavy. There's about 5 pounds in here. Okay. All over the counter. Oh, there.
Oh.
Good job, big strong man. You can rest it on the counter. It's fine. You don't have to hold it up.
Okay.
But please hold the bag so it doesn't fall. Okay. Well, I will get cleaned up here. We'll seal this up. We'll put it in the fridge, and tomorrow Caleb and I will package this up. Sound good, buddy? Okay. Okay, it's been about 24 hours. Our breakfast sausage is ready. Let's go ahead and dump it out and you can see it. When it's set in the fridge for about 24 hours, the flavors really come together. Also, the texture changes a little bit. And you kind of see it's a little bit more stiff. It's going to come together. So this will be ready to wrap up. I like to wrap it in about 1 pound little bricks that we can put in the freezer. And then it'll be great to use in anything, like a breakfast sandwich, breakfast casserole, anything like that. So big man, now I'm good at wrapped up. Sound good?